Hey. All right, everybody. So we are here. Already people jumping in, which is awesome. Have a great guest here tonight.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to introduce?
Yeah.
You're the man.
If you don't know Aaron Jackson, folks, you should. Gold Rush Media, the announcer for the Lincoln Zebras football, and much, much more.
Yeah, I covered a lot of Lincoln High School sports. It's actually how I got to meet Aaron. And I'm glad to have him on here because the best part of a guest is somebody who has a lot of good stories. And I know Aaron's got a lot of great stories about Lincoln High and some of the sports and some of the people around in our local area.
Yeah.
Our show has become so international. We've been really interviewing people around the world, and it's so nice to come back local again.
Oh, yeah.
For people that are coming on to see that we're here, we're on Thursday night. It looks like Thursday night's going to be our nights.
Well, for at least a couple of weeks.
Yes. Well, we'll see.
We'll have to figure
We're trying to make it just a regular thing, but, we're trying to figure it out. So Thursday night, here we go. I'm excited. Before we get into, talking to Aaron, we have to cover some of the things that we've been doing.
We've had craziness ensue.
We are so busy with our show.
Yes.
We just finished, and it's already been up there. You can go watch all our shows from the Placer County.
Oh, my God, that was so fun.
Oh, my goodness.
The rib cook-off.
And we still got another video to pop up there, which is the highlights. You didn't even know that. So Super Producer edited the highlights, and that's supposed to pop up soon, or it has, right? I got to go find out. The other thing is we did a preview show. We've been doing all sorts of social media. The Grounds, thank them for everything. Dawnette is amazing.
She is absolutely phenomenal little lady. Oh, my God, I love her.
And we love the Grounds and everything that they're doing for the Placer County community.
Oh, God, yeah. You know, what I like about At the Grounds is they've done a lot of work out there, and it looks phenomenal. So if you want to have a crab feed or something like that out there, quinceañera, birthday party, I'll tell you what, that's the place to do it now.
It really is.
I'm
going to give a shout out to a company that they built a new center out there, and it's the Robolin Center.
Ginormous.
And it's always air conditioned, so you can always know to go in there. And it's air conditioned because of the floor. It always has to be protected. Yeah, you could just put that right there.
Did I get you?
No, you didn't.
I missed my mouth.
But we got to meet some people from Robolin, and they were a part of the Rib-Off, which you took part of on Sunday morning, which was so much fun. And you want to watch that video, which actually shows different people making ribs different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And we even had somebody who was Jamaican jerk type style barbecue, and they brought wood. They actually imported wood in from Jamaica.
Wood, right?
Yeah.
Pimento
so
wood.
and it had the Jamaican emblem on it and everything. So there was the coolest thing. Some of the coolest grills and barbecues I've ever seen too.
Oh yeah.
Different types of things. The guy from Alabama was unbelievable, and you had the Placer County tax assessors out there grilling. You had the Lincoln City Treasurer, Richard Pearl, was out there, with also our Lincoln City of Commerce.
The CEO.
That's right. So we had
was out there.
that. We had Griffin Barbecue, which those guys ended up.
They cleaned house.
Those guys cleaned house. They made such amazing ribs, and it was just a fun atmosphere. The other thing about the fair, and I want to say this about our community in Placer County and everything, was how happy people were when I was out there. I was out there Saturday night doing some videoing as well with Super Producer, and everybody was nice to each other.
Yeah, they were.
People were happy to be out, and they were kind, and people were having fun. And I love seeing that coming back right now. Another shout out for something local. The Lincoln Potters are just killing it. They're putting a good product out there baseball wise. It's a fun time out. It's a great night for the family. It's not expensive. They got great food. They got great experiences. So if you haven't got a chance to go to Lincoln Potters, I like to give them a plug. I know Matt, their vice president, is actually planning on being on the show soon.
Oh, nice.
So we talked to him. So they're doing a really good job. And a lot of times they have some local talent out there. I know Eli Garcia is out there playing as well. And they've got some big D1 Stanford guys and Rice and some big guys that are probably going to move on at some point that are actually playing out there. So you have a chance to see some potential Major League Baseball players.
I'll tell you what, the collegiate league that they are in is, if if I remember correctly, half Northern California, half Southern Cal. And I'll tell you what, you want to see some really good collegiate baseball, they're pretty darn good. They'll bring in some teams from SoCal that come up, and you talk about some great competition. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, they've got an All-American on the team,
Oh, yeah.
and it was just at the College World Series, and so they've got some talent. But there's not a bad seat in the house. Everything's close by. Imagine a high school field that got made into a semi-pro field.
Yeah.
And it's just a great atmosphere, and they covered the seats. So it's all
did cover
shaded
that,
all the
right.
way around. So that's a huge thing. I just want to give a big shout out to that. Super producer and her family, I think, is watching tonight. She's actually gone up in Oregon this week, so it might be her watching. I know another shout out to Ben Barnhold, who usually pops in and watches our show, and
Barnhold!
She'll be on our show pretty soon. So we're working on that as well. What else can we talk about? We've been filming interviews like crazy.
Yeah, we did a recount on all the interviews that we have set up through September. Actually, not 30, it's 42. So sorry for
That's coming.
Yeah.
That's 2 common interviews that we've got set up and interviewed.
Yeah.
That are already in our hopper.
Yep.
Scheduled for you to watch, and we have some people just from all types, different, interesting people. I'm excited about some of these interviews we've done.
So looking forward to these guys seeing the Arushi.
Arushi was so fun.
Oh my God, yes.
We've had a great time, and you're going to enjoy a lot of these as well.
Oh yeah.
We're also working with Matthew Oliver. We're working actually probably to do a show as well. I went and checked out the Whiskey Bar last night. It's really cool what he's got going on down here in Lincoln. And people are out there having a good time out there. And so I can't wait to have Matthew Oliver out at the show. Hey, we're getting a message from ourselves.
Oh.
And that must be super producer.
What up?
We don't have the monitor up yet, so we can't see unless we look forward.
Yeah. So you're going to be seeing a lot of, what?
So what else? Man, we've been just busy.
You know, I had to take a ride up to Chico yesterday, right? And I listened to the Daraja interview again just because I want to make ourselves better. And I got to tell you, that Daraja interview really kind of hit me again because, you know, you do it, you listen to it, and then you kind of move on, and then you come back to it and you listen to it again. And I'll tell you what, I started thinking because they were opening up a second school about 20 miles away, and I want to know how things are going.
Yeah, we can go. We got to start following up with some of the people
really
we've
do.
interviewed. So I'll get a hold of Jason. He just got back because of the whole unicorn event.
Yes.
Which we cannot talk about on
The
YouTube.
C word.
The first time he was able to get back to Daraja.
Oh, wow.
So here's a little update. And he went back there, and the whole school greeted him, and they sang. They have a Daraja school song.
Yeah.
And the whole school was there to sing.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just an amazing thing to see him. And I mean, he's just in tears, and the girls just missed him, and he hadn't been able to go back there in that whole time. And it was finally to go back what he calls home.
Yeah.
So all these girls, just so you know, and you want to go watch the show so you can see all about it. But
we're not really doing it justice.
We're not, because these girls in Kenya, here's what would happen. They are finished with middle school, and they're either sent off to go get married and have kids.
Well, more like sold off.
It's like that, right?
Yeah.
Or they're kind of slave to do it. They don't get more education. They don't get stuck where they're at. So Jason was trying to fill a hole, and this school, he can only take so many kids.
Right.
And so some of these kids don't get in right away.
Yep.
And they literally are fighting for a couple years, and some of them will finally make it into the school a couple years later. And I say that because one of the girls who made it 2 years after she had first applied finally made it in the school, and she made it in late. And so actually, What Up with Rob and Chris sponsored her every single month so that she can go to school. So we have actually been actively a part of also supporting that. These girls are absolutely incredible, and they are actually going to universities all over the world, becoming doctors and stuff now, and going back into Kenya to help change the way things are there. And
MIT, FIU. Some of them, actually, if I remember correctly, was saying Harvard, Missouri.
Absolutely.
I can't remember where else off the top of my head, like North Carolina State, but it's a pretty darn good story.
Yeah.
I'm glad I brought that up just
Thank you.
because I wanted to know how things were going, to be
Yeah.
quite honest.
And Aaron's sitting here talking to us because
Yeah.
we're going to get there, trust me.
Poor guy.
But we just have a lot to do. So there's a couple more things. First of all, the Darby interview's up.
Yes.
People go watch this. This is a friend of mine who I coached in high school. When he was in high school, he went on to San Diego State. He beat out an All-American from being a walk-on football player as an offensive tackle at 6'7", 315 pounds. The guy who he beat out ended up moving over to guard and went on to play for the Green Bay Packers. And Brendan ended up playing for the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers and also the Reign Fire in the World Football League. But what Brendan talks about in that show is so important for athletes because he talks about
the first step.
The first step is huge. There's a mindset and there's also some real amazing things in there that can make you be better than what most other people are just by doing some of the small things that he talks about.
First step.
First step is
literally
that's one of the biggest things. Yeah,
3 to 6 inches,
and it's for any sport, right?
No.
So he talks about it, Jonathan Ogden, and go watch the show.
Oh man, yeah.
So I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to bring it up again, and then we're going to get to Aaron. So the first reason why I got to bring it down is I just want to give homage to my father-in-law who passed away on Sunday. So, that's important. It's a big hit to the family. We called him Jolly Ollie, and he really was. The guy could go into a room of 1,000 people, he'd get to know everybody, or they knew him, and he was probably invited to most of the weddings. It was probably the officiant and the best man and the ring bearer, and he's just incredible. He came from Ireland and was a priest, and ended up meeting a lady who became my mother-in-law, who was a Notre Dame nun at one time, but she wasn't when she met him. But he ended up leaving the priesthood and marrying her from Kilkenny, Ireland. So up the Cats. Thank you, Ollie. And that's just a shout out to Ollie. The next one is just as important to bring up because we won't be able to talk to you until the next time. And this is going to happen in the middle of the show. Happy birthday, super producer Erica.
Erica, super producer. Happy birthday, sweetheart.
It is going to be her birthday. She doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't have anything to do about it, but we love her so much. And everything that she does and puts up with these two crazy guys.
And she puts up with a lot, let me tell you.
She's so talented and so amazing. And we just can't wait to celebrate your birthday because we love you. So a big shout out to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and now to the guest who's been patiently waiting here in his Warriors gear. So what's your favorite basketball team?
It was a rough end of the season, man.
I know. So Aaron Jackson is
in the house.
He's here, and this is somebody I have a lot of respect for. He probably has never heard me say that. This is a guy that whenever I see him, it's just always have to see me. And he does that for everybody. And that's somebody you just want to know. And I really wanted him on the show because I wanted to share him with everybody, because a lot of times he's behind the scenes. A lot of times he's behind the scenes with me because I have a sports company that's on the sidelines, and he was out there at Lincoln News Messenger and Gold Country Media, and that's where we built a friendship. And one of the great things about Aaron is his absolute, even as a reporter, and you have to keep that reporter side of it, but you graduated from Lincoln High.
Yes.
And you went right into reporting for the high school. Mm-hmm. Before we get into something, I wanted to kind of tell everybody, Aaron is so diehard Lincoln Zebras that the coaches let him speak after a game.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And so that hits me and how much somebody cares about the people around him, about the school he went to. He's a fighting zebra through and through till the day he dies. And if you don't know Aaron, you really should. And he just had some news to us that he may be able to share. He's working on getting back into reporting.
So I'm currently in the process. So before COVID hit, ever since 2015, actually, even when I was in high school, I was doing some reporting for the Lincoln News Messenger. I started off by doing weekly articles on my experience, what it'd be like playing golf, because I played golf for the Lincoln High School football team. For the Lincoln High School golf team, my bad.
But the way you played it was full contact.
Yeah.
I got it. I picked up what you're throwing at.
No, so I would write weekly articles like explaining like how the game went and stuff like that. And then when it got to college time, I went back and actually was sports information director and got to write a lot of articles when it came to football, when it came to a lot of other sports. And then, of course, COVID hit, and I was furloughed from being able to be a stringer, as a lot of other people were in the industry. And right now, I'm not going to say anything yet because nothing's confirmed, but there is a good opportunity I have to possibly go back and do that again. So I'm very happy and blessed, and hopefully everything works out.
And we want that to happen because Aaron, he just, he's really working and worked on his craft, right? Being a reporter and coming out of high school, you just get thrown into the fire, and, it's hard to kind of get that feel. And I will say that I watched you. You may not know that, but I watched you, and I watched you grow. And that's what you want to see, is that he wanted to do it so bad that you could see he just continuously wanted to improve. And now I can't wait till you're back writing again and pouring your soul into what you believe and what you want to do and to share that with everybody. On top of that, you didn't want to quit either, so you started a podcast.
Yeah, so
just like we're doing.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had the idea. Actually, I didn't have the idea until about 2 or 3 weeks back. I was thinking, like, I used to have a podcast, and I would talk like sports and politics with like some people that I knew. But I thought, I want to make something a little bit more niche. So I decided I want to talk to people who are local artists, musicians, athletes. Potentially I want to get to like business people too. I like how you mentioned Matthew Oliver, because I know he's opening the new restaurant at Bierman's.
Oh yeah, it's
the old Bierman's location. Yeah. And I was like, I want to do that because I want to actually bring people from the community and kind of like what you're doing with this. And so far I've had a couple shows. It's called The Epicenter with Aaron Jackson. If you go to my Facebook page or my Instagram at A2Jack, my link is in the description there. And the first 2 shows have gone great. I had a local hip hop artist on from Auburn. His name is DJ J on the first show. And then the last one, which I had, which was on Tuesday, her name's Abby Feingold, who is a goalkeeper, actually graduated from Lincoln High School, went on to play at Portland State, plays for the Cal Storm currently, but has also played professionally overseas in Japan and Israel. And it's been really great to just catch up with people. I think that's the big thing, is getting to talk with them and catch up with them, but also just like knowing the story of like where they came from, why they got the inspiration in the first place to do what they wanted to do. And then just kind of learning about that whole journey is a really cool experience to just kind of, it takes you really kind of into that person. And I think it's really cool. It's really neat. And I'm looking forward to having more.
Absolutely. There's a guy that we interviewed that you should get to as well. Craig Schmick.
Oh yeah.
And
I've done articles on before.
he's lost almost 100 and something pounds now.
When I did an article on him, he said he lost 120. He may have lost even more since then.
And he's now at Minot playing baseball.
That's
and
awesome.
he did it because he lost the weight, and now he's coaching the younger kids, helping out in North Dakota. Wow. That's the update on Craig. I was loving seeing that as well. So on top of all that stuff, what are some of your favorite stories that you've been a part of, like being on the sideline? What are some of your highlight of moments that you
So you actually mentioned the Del Oro game. That was the game when I actually spoke with some of the people after the game. And, obviously, that was a really interesting perspective because I think that was my sophomore year of college. And, when I'm writing the articles, of course, I'm professional in the reporting sense, but deep down, I'm still a fan of the team. I still want Lincoln to win those games. But of course, I'm reporting on both sides because we cover both teams for the area. And it was just interesting to see how that game went back and forth. And there's so many stories behind that game about what happened on the Del Oro sideline after the game. About like the entire fourth quarter went back and forth the entire time. And I honestly just like like being there and having that experience of just seeing what a game that came down to the wire looked like and being able to report on that when it came to both sides. I found that really interesting. It's really cool in general also to go back and do articles specifically on cross country and golf, because those are sports that I actually did or actually
and they just don't get the coverage.
And they just don't get the coverage,
Right.
exactly. So like for example, they're going to be the new coaches now at 12 Bridges because that's going to be opening up. But Dave Foxworthy and Eric Soto were my golf coaches in high school, and being able to kind of cover the team the last 3 of the years before COVID hit was really interesting to see how the teams progressed. But it was really cool to also get to talk to those guys again and catch up with them and see how stuff's changed. So
Yeah.
I find it always interesting to go back to there, and I've also found it really interesting as well. Another one of my favorite stories was actually at Sac State. It was the first time I actually got to go to their media room with the State Hornet and cover a game. They did lose that game, but I found it really a great experience to be able to actually be in a press room and kind of feel what it was like on a professional level.
Right.
And I loved my time with the State Hornet at Sac State.
Yeah.
And all of it's just been a great experience, man. It's been awesome to be able to grow and learn throughout my entire time.
Well, let's talk about the Del Oro game.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I want to bring it back to that, first of all, Lincoln had never really, it never competed against Del Oro.
Right.
Del Oro is a storied California powerhouse football program, and they just dominated every year. Did they win the state title, or did they went to the state championship?
They went to the state championship, and I think they lost to some team in like the Fresno area.
Yeah, right. And so
they lost to Helix the first time. They beat Bakersfield, Bakersfield had moved to the north. They've lost to Helix twice, and then they beat, I can't remember who they actually
the state though, right?
once. Yes.
So this team, Lincoln, most people would have said they don't even belong on the field. Right. And that's the hard part about Lincoln being a small town which has grown. It's like Reno's biggest little city. Lincoln's exploded, but people think it's this little cow town still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting at the mesh of the two, people moving in, the people that are old, that have been here for a long time, and how the city kind of meshes together. Although there's going to be a split, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's a big split coming. But what happened at the Del Oro game, Lincoln was ahead, right? They were going to win. They were up by 2.
They were up by 2 with about 4 minutes to play.
And Del Oro wasn't anywhere near scoring, and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
You have to give props to this kid.
It was a 53-yard field goal
High school.
with 4 seconds left on it. I want to say this was 2018. I think it was 2018. He kicked a 53-yard field goal with like 4 seconds left on the clock to win the game. It was insane. And it was good by a good 5 yards. I mean,
it was so good. I mean, this was where I don't think I've ever seen a high school kid kick a ball like that.
It was insane.
It was dead down the middle, like he couldn't have kicked it any better.
Yeah.
Or it's just impressive.
Yeah.
But so after the game, there's a little bit of crazy stuff that happened that Del Oro had to kind of apologize for themselves because they, them winning, they were excited, but they were overzealous and it kind of created a problem.
And one of their coaches, I think, got suspended.
He actually suspended himself because he didn't feel he was out of line as well, and he realized it later, and he said, I got to own up to what I did, and he did. Hats off to Del Oro.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that Coach Walter? And now he's, if I remember correctly, he's now the AD at Del Oro.
Oh, that could be possible.
But don't quote me on
Yeah,
that.
I don't
There was
know.
something, but with all the C-word stuff, I can't remember.
Right. So what ended up happening, so I want to go back to this whole moment. And I am generally connected to Whitney High. I'm there. I'm the announcer there. I've spent a lot of time with Whitney, and yet I live in Lincoln, and I have a big draw and a lot of friends and a lot of care for Lincoln as well. So I'm torn all the time as well. My kids' school in Lincoln and all that. So when I'm at Lincoln, I'm at Lincoln, and when I'm Whitney, I'm Whitney, and when they play together, I'm stuck. You know what I mean? Because I want both to win. I think people on both sides that I care about. What happened at the end of that, I was even offended about the way that Del Oro acted.
Yeah.
But then, this is why I wanted to bring it back to that. And it talks about you is, Coach Beans sitting there and the kids, and they're just devastated, and Beans talking, and you could see the kids just aren't. Beans is one of the most incredible coaches and orders, and he's going to be incredible when he's on the show too. Right. and he's inspirational, and the kids just couldn't like pick their head up.
Right.
And I don't know if it was you just feeling they needed something or not, but I don't know how you even got to talk, but they asked you to speak, and all those freaking kids lifted their heads and listened to you.
It was a really interesting moment.
That was what really got me in that moment.
Yeah.
Was that they listened to you when they were just so defeated, and you were just sharing the pride of being a Zebra and the pride of everybody that just watched that game, and that you made everybody proud, even in loss. And that was, I don't know if you remember what you said, but that's where I was getting out of it. And my holy feeling changed from it as well. And I watched the kids change after you spoke. And that's why I wanted to bring it back to that, because that was such an incredible moment.
So if I remember correctly at the time, a lot of at least the top stars on the team, that's in the top staff performers, all that kind of stuff, were still pretty young. There were a couple sophomores and there was a lot of juniors. So one thing I remember saying was like, this isn't it for you guys. You guys got another year. You guys can come back and you guys can do this again. But it was really interesting for me because I actually asked to speak. I actually talked to Beanie because I kind of felt just everybody just sink in the community. And I felt that as a community thing. I didn't feel it just as a team
There's a lot of pride in it.
Yeah, and so I wanted to say something because a lot of these kids at the time, even though this was only 2 years after I graduated, most of these kids I never spoke to when I was in high school.
Right.
So they only know me from what I had done with my journalism work.
Right.
And I took myself out of that for a second. I said, these kids, I talk to them all the time, but I feel like that they need something right now, to some sort of motivation. And I just felt I needed to pour my soul out there for them in that moment because I felt bad for them. And I know that they just got beat on something that, it was under their control, and we can talk about that, but it also at the same time, a 53-yard field goal, fair play to the kid. You can't control that if you got a kid who's got that good of a boot. And I just felt at that moment like they needed something because they worked so hard. If I remember correctly, that was the best season that they actually had under Coach Bean. And I just know that it was a devastating moment for them. I've experienced it as well when we lost to Placer in golf to lose the league. I experienced that firsthand. So I knew semi what they were kind of feeling like, and I just felt like they needed an extra something to kind of make themselves kind of lift their heads up and feel better, kind of like you said.
Right. So let's talk about the big earthquake that's about to come. The cracking of Lincoln.
Yeah.
What's about to happen here, and I want your opinion on this because I think Lincoln is so prideful about the Zebras, and it's just been a Zebra town, and now we have the fluffy unicorn or the fluffy hippos or whatever. The rhinos.
It's the rhinos.
They're the rhinos.
Yeah.
And the rhinos are now the 12 Bridges High School. And so what's first happened is Mike Ball, the principal, has gone over, and the whole coaching staff from Lincoln High School has now gone over to 12 Bridges, including the men's basketball coach, Ash, has gone over, and there's more. But being such a Zebra town, we're now a Zebra and Rhino town. What's your take on how that is gonna? 12 Bridges has got a little bit to go because they're starting with just freshmen and sophomores. But now we're not just a one high school city anymore.
Right. And to be honest with you, it's something that was needed because in my graduating class, or at least how many people were at Lincoln High School when I graduated in 2016, it was right around the ballpark of like 1,650 to 1,700. Since then, I want to say it was at like 21 to 2,200 this year. So, it's going to keep growing. They had to make the new makeshift classrooms and stuff. They needed another school in the town. It was necessary. They needed to make that happen. I will say that it is tough to see all the people from Lincoln go over to 12 Bridges, but I also think it's good for them to have a good head start to where they can be well prepared when everything really starts up for them next year. Because this year they're just going to have freshmen and sophomores. Next year they're going to have everybody there. And so this year is going to be a really interesting year for athletes at Lincoln High because a lot of them only know what they've learned under Coach Ash, under Coach Bean, under these coaches before, and they're going to be under a different coaching staff. But they're also going to have that experience under their belt. So it's going to be an interesting transition phase for them too. But I will say that I do think next year when those kids are gone, either graduated or are now over to 12 Bridges with the realignment, I do think it's going to be a rough couple years for Lincoln High. I think it's going to be really rough for them in a lot of different sports because it's going to, I'm not going to say that they're just not going to have any talent, but I think that it's going to be really tough for them to have top-tier talent right away. Yeah. And it's probably going to take a couple of years for that to really get going, especially with the new coaching staffs they have. Meanwhile, on the 12 Bridges side of things, they might have a rough first year, but I think that give it a couple of years, they're going to be a powerhouse. I actually expect them to be a very big powerhouse.
And I saw that at Whitney. As they were kind of, what's going to happen this year is Lincoln, because of the split, now they still have the numbers there for the varsity, but new coach, things like that are happening. It's kind of their last little hurrah. They're going to fight hard to get where they're going to be. It's going to be a year. The next thing that happens for them is realignment.
Yes,
that's the saving grace, and they're going to go into a new. We don't know what it'll be, but both teams are going to get under this realignment. Which, here's what I heard: that the contract for Whitney and Lincoln, which has been such a great rivalry, even though both schools battle heads, it's an amazing series to watch those two teams go at it because it doesn't no matter what level each team is each year. That game is like one of the best games you'll find.
Oh, for sure.
So this is his last year because Whitney doesn't feel that this is what I'm hearing, and not that it's fully official yet, but they do feel that with the numbers going down for Lincoln, it's not going to be fair for them to do it. Because they're in the SFL, they play Folsom, which is a nationally ranked powerhouse, Del Oro, Bay. And that's the
Rockland
feeling.
Was legit.
Rockland, yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's technically there's really not a really weak team in the SFL.
It really isn't, and so you're kind of dealing with that factor, and so it's a respect kind of thing. But I'm sorry I'm gonna be sad to see that go if it really does.
And Lincoln being in D3, if I'm not mistaken, right now. They're going to bump down because of the attendance numbers to either 4 or 5.
I was going to actually bring that because they're actually D2. I think they're actually D2.
They are D2.
So they're
D2, but I think it'll fall. And so the realignment's going to be interesting.
Yes.
How that plays out. Do you understand the realignment and how they're going to make decisions?
Well, I don't know exactly like what the limits are in terms of how many people are for this division or for this conference. But I do know that when we got to a certain population of heads at Lincoln High School, I don't know if it was 1,800, 1,900. That was when we went to D2 because of the size of our school.
Right.
Now that's probably, like you said, going to go down to maybe like even 1,200, 1,300. And with that being the case, I would imagine we would have to drop back down to like D4.
D3, D4, because
D4,
and it's going to be interesting.
And it does make sense what you're saying about Whitney because, I mean, in this all respect to Coach Bean, he's been a great coach for Lincoln and everything. But even under him, I mean, they had really close and tough games against teams like Whitney and Rockland. I mean, they lost to Whitney in playoffs. They lost to Rockland. They were good games.
Yeah.
But if they were good games under him with the size of the school that they had, I mean, I hate to say it, but Lincoln would probably get pounced if they with the population size now that they have going down to D4 with the size that they have and now with the new high school.
So they're kind of back to where they were with like Colfax.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Colfax in the size that they are is a dominant small school.
Oh, yeah.
So the sport is going to be great. They're going to be playing at the level they should, and they're going to play tough competition.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if Bear River's still in the same league as them, if it's still the PDL.
I believe they are.
But if they are, I mean, don't take anything away from them either, because, I mean, they have great players when it comes to their basketball teams, when it comes to their football programs.
I think Nevada Union's at that level now,
Nevada Union's at that level now as well. And, I mean, I experienced, when it came to golf, there were great, especially for Nevada Union, there were great players for all of those teams. And I know that they've had a lot of good talent come through those programs. I think there was actually somebody, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, for basketball for Bear River who actually played basketball with Zach Lowe, who graduated from Lincoln, and they played somewhere in California, and then I know he transferred East Coast. But yeah, they've got a lot of great talent coming out of those small schools too.
Right. Let's talk about Lincoln High's also about softball. And that's actually one of Chris's favorites. But Donna Toft, I like to give a big shout out to Donna Toft because what she's done, she came from Del Oro, actually, came over to Lincoln, and what she does with that program, you must know a lot about Lincoln softball, and she sends kids on, and there's a lot of great things that are happening. The baseball softball at Lincoln is stellar. I remember that I think they won the section like 4 years in a row.
They were
just
at
not
least
too
in
long
it.
ago.
Yeah, they won. If they didn't win it 4 years in a row, they won it 3 of the 4 years. I know that for sure.
Yeah, and they had
there.
a player at one time, Isaiah Garcia, which is, I think there's like 18 Garcia boys that are coming through.
Yeah.
But like Isaiah, who's Fullerton, right? And he gets another year because of what happened. The seniors, that's the biggest thing. We'll talk about that too, because I want your opinion on this as well. But Isaiah in high school went through his entire senior year and not a single strikeout.
That's amazing.
Not one strikeout his entire senior year, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
So
A player I'd also like to give a shout out to when it comes to the Lincoln alumni who's been playing great when it comes to sports and especially baseball is Charles Middleton. That kid has been
Charles Middleton. I remember him when he was
man.
this big, and he's been like
He's still about that
amazing.
big.
Yeah, he was
but
amazing
he's
for the
freaking
Potters.
yoked.
He was amazing for the Potters, and I blank on who he's playing for right now, but I know he's been playing great for them too. He's been amazing his entire time ever since he's been with Lincoln High. I mean, he's just been a stud.
Well,
Big stud.
and you have more kids. You got a volleyball girl there that's right now is
Morgan Collier.
Morgan Collier, and she's committing to the official hasn't happened, but she's verbal to University of Oregon.
Wow.
So I actually got to talk to her
great.
mom. We're gonna have a story with her and mom and dad and brother, because they're as a family are so fun to talk to.
Nice.
So I've been working on doing that. But Morgan, she's recruited by Nebraska, Stanford, like you name any top college volleyball, and she was in it. Like she was recruited, right? And she's amazing. She's just competitive. The whole family's competitive. Her mom played volleyball at Long Beach, and her dad was a really serious water polo player, and he's like 6'20".
Yeah.
Yes.
So real quick, right now Lincoln is in D3.
Yeah.
Okay. And that goes till 2022, but they do not have in here where 12 Bridges is going to be, because I don't think they're going to have a varsity team.
They don't. It's a JV,
Yes,
and they're
right.
going to have an open schedule, so they've scheduled based on what availability for JV teams are. That's what they've kind of sat on. So they're kind of in that position right now, but that's perfect. That's what they did anyway. So Morgan is actually, the story that I got told was she was down. She decided she didn't want Stanford, but she was down, I think, at UCLA. She was checking them out, and she was watching. She was there being recruited by UCLA, and she was watching the University of Oregon team, and they were literally having so much fun, and they were so happy. And UCLA was like, they were getting yelled at, and nobody was happy, and it was from before the game and during the game and after the game. She's like, I want to be over there. And so that's a little bit of insight I got on that. We'll get more when we get to an interview with there. But there's amazing people around this area and Placer County. So not only just sports people, because I know we lean to that, but we've met just in the rib-off.
Oh my God!
Some of these people at the rib-off. I think the guys that won were Yuba County Sheriff or something.
Yeah.
And just the people that are in this community, there's so many amazing people. From Fred Litnikoff, Dusty Baker's got a house in Granite Bay, although he's in Houston now. But
his
the
son
family's
plays
here.
at Cal.
His son plays at Cal.
Plays second base,
Bay, right, or something like
player,
that. So
I'll tell you that.
Placer County is a very amazing place, and I love that we're in it. But I also love that we're sharing the world into here as well. So I know Aaron actually has something. He did jump in here.
I have like about 4 minutes left. So if you have my question, I could do like
he's
one
gonna
more
go
question.
see the Care Bears movie tonight.
No.
Yes, he is. Just in case you want to know.
So we're not going to have a game tonight because he has to run, and it's just not going to work. Thank you, super producer, for setting this up. But
We can still do it though. When
I gotta find it. So let me off the hook.
No, I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm not getting in trouble.
I think it's over there. So I'll get up and look, and you keep going.
Okay. So you're a golfer at Lincoln. You've been doing a bunch of stories for Gold Country Media. What would your future goals be? Let's say 5 years down the road, you're you're like 12. So I mean, I know you'll be like 17 now. But like in 5 years down the road, where do you see yourself doing?
So what I went to college for is journalism and communication. So I got my bachelor's last year from Sac State, and my main goal is I want to work for somebody like Bleacher Report or ESPN, but I really want to do something in the announcing field. So right now I've gotten the opportunity to be the public address announcer for Lincoln High School's football team. I want to at some point be an analyst or a reporter in some way, shape, or form for one of those bigger companies. But I wouldn't even be opposed to doing something. One thing during the pandemic that I learned, I grew a love of it, is disc golf, actually.
Really?
I played a lot of disc golf during the pandemic.
Nice.
And so I've been watching a lot of stuff when it comes to the PDGA, Professional Disc Golf Association. I wouldn't be opposed to doing something working with them or doing some announcing for them, because that sport is, I'm telling you, when I tell you that the sport's growing, I mean, it is growing at a pace that people don't understand. I mean, it's literally, they have a contract with ESPN2. They're going to be able to actually have
Are you sure it's not ESPN, the Ocho?
It's not the Ocho. It's ESPN2. No, seriously though, it's I wouldn't be opposed to that either. Just something in the sports realm when it comes to announcing or analyst. Right now, getting to do reporting for small market around here, I'm blessed to be able to do that, and hopefully I can expand that.
That's awesome. That's
Definitely.
awesome. So I found the rapid fire questions that I should have started with.
Yes.
But there was one in here that I looked at right away that Super Producer set up for us, and I think this is a great one. If you had intro music, like baseball or something like that, right? You had intro music. What song would it be and why?
Ooh, that is a good question. So, I love Breaking Benjamin. I'm a huge rock fan, and I love I Will Not Bow, and so that would probably be my walkout song. I love that. That's just such a kick-ass song.
What's the most useful thing you own?
Ooh, that's a good question.
She's a good producer.
You know, I hate to say it because I know this is probably such a general answer, but reality says it's so clutch when it comes to my job. I'm going to say my phone, because it really is so useful when it comes to doing interviews with people, when it comes to looking stuff up, when it comes to what I need. I hate to say it because that's probably what an answer a lot of people get, but really it is my phone.
I get it. And Super Producer, she now has an 8K video phone, so why would you carry a camera when it's on your phone? It's so much easier, right? It's so much better. She's got a nice phone now. Yeah. What's your favorite way to waste time?
Either getting out and doing something active with friends or family, or I try not to watch as much YouTube, but I do watch a lot of YouTube. So wasting time during the pandemic, I watched a lot of movies, a lot of YouTube, and played games around the house.
And we have a new subscriber in you for What Up with Rob and Chris, right? There we go.
His favorite show, by the way, just in case anybody wants to know, was What Up with Rob and Chris.
What's something popular now that annoys you?
That's a great question. I mean, half of the pop artists out there, because I'm not a Miley Cyrus fan. I'm not an Iggy Azalea fan. I'm not a Cardi B fan, Nicki Minaj. All those people have gotten so popular in the last few years, and I personally, I think their music's trash. No offense. I just am not a big fan, and I know that that's gotten a lot popular, and it's just not my cup of tea.
You know what? I actually, which is kind of funny that you say that, is I got to go to the Quarry, and they had live music again, and
that's awesome.
I got to see Naked Eyes, which I didn't know who they were until
God.
I heard the song and went, okay, I know those songs, which, okay, yes, that ages me, it's 80s. But then the other one was Flock of Seagulls, and I'm like, I'm going to a Flock of Seagulls concert. Really? And they were amazing.
That's great.
And people were having fun and dancing and having a great time in a great venue. If you haven't gone out to the Rockland Quarry Park and the amphitheater there, man, what a great venue. So good. And I got Warrant coming up there too. I'm going to go listen to Cherry Pie coming up soon as well.
If I had to add a secondary answer, just because I'm a huge PlayStation fan, the Nintendo Switch, because that's gotten popular lately, and I like the Nintendo 64, but almost every other Nintendo console I thought is not good. Yeah. I was not a huge Wii fan and stuff, even though I like Wii Sports, but I would probably put that up there because that's gained a lot of popularity recently.
How much time does you got there?
I got 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes?
I got 2
minutes. All right. What's the most annoying habit someone can have?
Personally, I don't know if this is as much of a habit, but if you're out like interviewing somebody or you're out just talking to somebody, having somebody just look at their phone when you're out talking to somebody or when you're out having dinner with someone.
I actually agree.
To me, it's like if you're going to be with someone, you're going to go out and do something. You know, the whole point is you want to talk to them out there. You don't want to go out and do something social and then be antisocial.
You know, somebody had taught me once, and I need to go back to that. Is when you're going out with somebody, just leave your phone in your car.
Yeah.
Just don't even bring it in. It's the best way to keep respect. I know.
Yep.
That's the way you need to do it.
It's a funny thing you mentioned that because I actually went out with a former coworker of mine last week, and my phone died, and so I had no way of contacting her.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shoot! And I was like, you know what? This is great. I don't even need to worry about anything.
So I'm going to try and get a couple of this or that's in here real quick. Toilet paper, over or under?
Oh my god. Under.
Under, okay. Under, didn't pull it. Okay.
Over.
I know. I thought the patent is even over.
Yeah.
Patent is. Pancake or waffle?
You can't go wrong with a blueberry pancake.
Ooh, okay. There we go.
Chocolate waffles.
Cups in the cupboard, right side up or upside down?
Upside down.
Oh, okay.
True.
Working alone or working in a team?
90% working alone, 10% working in a team.
Okay. When sleeping, a fan on or no fan?
Oh, give me 4 fans during this
Oh
time
my
of
god,
year.
that's right on me.
Give me like 4.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
I agree, fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ninjas or pirates?
I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, so I gotta go Pirates.
There you go. A hamburger or taco?
You know, I'm actually, I don't eat red meat as much anymore, so I'm gonna go with taco because I love chicken and fish tacos.
No? Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
But I like Impossible Burgers too.
There you go. A rich friend or a loyal?
Oh, loyal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's easy.
money ain't important.
Right? What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Dishes.
Dishes, definitely.
And then ice cream cone or snow cone?
I'm gonna go with ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone.
I'm gonna sound boring. Vanilla or strawberry. I'm not a huge chocolate fan.
Yeah. Let's check some of the messages. Super producer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm so glad you came on this show.
I'm glad you guys invited
What
me.
a fun time. I know he's got to go run and see Cruella. And what are you going to go see again?
I'm gonna go see the new Fast and Furious.
He's going to go see Fast and Furious 219.
He's about 219. That's right.
And what is it? Triple X from the grave or something like that.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel
Resurrected. This one's with
That's
John
right.
Cena, so
Oh,
we'll
John
see how it
Cena.
is.
Oh my gosh. So Aaron's been here. He's been a guest. He will sign our wall, and then he's got to run. And I'm just so glad you came. And we will follow up. We will watch your show, and we'll support you any way we can.
Well, thank you. I
That's what it
appreciate
is.
it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we'll post where to find him up on our social media and on our YouTube.
Mhm.
And I just thanks anybody who came and watched or is with us right now.
Yes,
For
thank you.
joining us. Again, love you, super producer. I know you're away. You're missed here, but we know why
Happy
you're up there.
birthday.
And then hi to your in-laws. And so if you're watching, hello. And I'll see you guys soon as well for the birthday party that we're celebrating next week.
Yes, that too.
Absolutely. And that's it. We're done. We're cutting it off. We're out of here.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Guys.
What
Thanks
up?
for
Go
playing.
watch the shows. They're coming in twice a week for shows and live on Thursdays at the moment.
And please go check out the Daraja show. You'll love it.
Yeah, there's so much out there right now. Go in. If you haven't seen them, go watch the content. Love you guys all, and we'll see you soon.